So I gotta shut off a couple things.
All right. Well, welcome to the Breath of Patrick. You always do that.
He comes right where I off every time.
It's all good, man. Welcome to another edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube. I am Charles Taylor, and as you can see, I got Patrick Brackett back with me. Say what's up, Patrick.
Okay, I'm looking into the camera, Charles. Got you right here. What's up, everybody?
I love it. So, in this episode, we are going to talk about all things college football. What happened from the past weekend, talk about a few of the games there. We're also going to talk about the Florida State and Georgia quarterback situations. And then, as a special bonus, we will look forward to some of next week's games. Probably what we got. Oklahoma, Ohio State, Georgia, Notre Dame, Auburn, Clemson, TCU, Arkansas, and so on. Stanford, USC probably too. But Patrick, it was a pretty good weekend. Pretty good. It's the first full weekend that we had. A lot of good games, a lot of good action going on as well. So what caught your eye, I guess, the most at the games that we saw in week one?
Well, a couple of things caught my eye. Biggest thing, quarterbacks, man. Dang it. We have a good chance that this happens to Georgia every year. We lose somebody. High rank wide receivers, high rank running backs. We got a bump chest, break ankles. Dang it. Happens all the time for Georgia. But those are the biggest things, man. Quarterbacks. And then these teams like Texas. Sorry about that, by the way. Texas A&M.
No need for an apology for Texas, man. I'll no.
How you blow leads like that?
Nah, Patrick. No.
That's what I saw. There's a lot of that happening. A lot. Far too much to be happening in week one.
Well, yeah, I mean, because we can go a number of ways. I mean, we could talk about Alabama just pretty much making a statement that, hey, they look like the number one team there. And for Florida State, man, I mean, I felt like Florida State hung in. They were right there with them. But Alabama, you know how they do. They'll make those plays when they have to have them.
Yep.
Came through. Block punt, set them up for a field goal, kickoff return, fumble, they forced. And that set them up for a touchdown. Next thing you know, it's 21-7. And getting behind Alabama by 14 points, you might as well be behind by 40.
Might as well be.
But man, there were some good games though, Patrick, because you had West Virginia and Virginia Tech. And Virginia Tech was able to pull that one out. You had Tennessee and Georgia Tech. Labor Day, Tennessee won that in double overtime. By the way, Patrick, I have to give you props. All the games we talked about last week, you picked them all right. I got to give you props there.
Champion. I went by default, man. Come on now. Georgia Tech. Well, I mean, I look at it like this, man. Look at Georgia Tech. They run the triple option. Now, there's only two teams that run the triple option to perfection: Georgia Tech and Navy. I do give it to Georgia Tech or to Tennessee the fact that they don't go against the triple option except for once every two to 20 years. But hey, they held them really well in the first half to not get down too much, and then they were just able to make a few stops and get a few holds that allowed them to eventually take the lead in the second overtime. But I knew it would be a close game. I didn't think it was going to be that close. I mean, that was a good game. But I knew it would be close. But I figured Tennessee had more manpower than Georgia Tech, and that's the reason why I went with Tennessee. The Florida game, Dude, 7 suspensions, 8 suspensions, dog. You're not beating a Michigan team with your core gone. You're just not. When you have a team that's put together and they're ready to play, and you have a team that's put together, but your core is sitting on the bench because of suspension, Florida's not going to win that game. I just didn't see it. Now, did they hang in there? Yeah, up until the second quarter. And then it was done. What was the other one? Alabama, Florida State. I just thought Alabama was just way too deep. And, I'm not taking anything away from the depth of Florida State, but Alabama is just they fixed a lot of holes that they had because they ran into the same situation against Florida State that they did with Clemson. And Alabama was just much more deeper on the defensive line this year than they were last year. So they weren't going to have that problem again. And that is what I saw. I mean, I didn't see a lot of those teams taking those losses like that.
Well, still good picking. And and you mentioned Texas. Now, look, y'all know I'm a Texas fan. I'm not going to go on any rants about Texas. I'm just going to say this. I'm not surprised, put it that way, because I did not really want to see Tom Herman there. You remember me, Patrick. I said Charlie Strong should remain the coach, but no, they said Tom Herman's their guy. So it's only one game, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, man, the coaching is just done. It's dead. But dude, Maryland ran for 263 yards. That was a whooping. That final score, 51-41, that was not – that did Maryland a disservice. Maryland was more dominant in that game than that score indicated. Texas – or we scored on a blocked field goal. We scored on an interception return, and then we had a throwaway garbage touchdown to make that score respectable. Maryland put it on us, and the play calling was terrible. Patrick, Shane Buechele should not be throwing the ball 52 times.
Nobody in college should be running.
Yeah, and he should not be running a option-type offense. He's not that type of guy. He's a guy who's going to throw more in the pocket. And we got 2 good running backs back there, and they're not running the ball with them. So something has got to change. That play calling you have to be more balanced than that. And
absolutely. And I'm going to check myself with this one, but you were talking about Texas and their running, and I want to make sure that I say this because I wanted to make sure I got this right. But yeah, dog, as a team, they ran the ball 31 times. 15 came from Shane.
See?
No.
That can't happen. That can't be. That can't.
And this was the sad thing about it is Chris Warren, who is the number one. No, Chris Warren is the number 1 running back, and he only got 6 carries.
See that can't happen.
He is off the bench and got more carries than Warren did. That can't happen.
That can't happen. So something's got to change with that play calling. But look, Patrick, I told you I'm not surprised at this. I mean, I was hoping maybe we'll see if there's any changes that came. They had a good off season, see if anything showed. And so far, man, nothing's shown on the field. And again, it's one game, so I'm not going to sit here and just try to bury Tom Herman. I'm not trying to do that, but I can tell you I was not shocked at that performance because I just didn't see where Tom Herman was just so much better. I know he did a lot of good things in Houston, but it's Houston, different.
Houston was in the dumpster at the time, man. When he came out, I mean, a retarded monkey done better than, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't see it. I mean, Todd Herman. Look, if one thing he's going to learn is this: there's a lot of fixing in Texas, a lot of fixing, And can Herman fix them? It's up for debate. What I saw this week with Texas, that is not a pretty sight. It's not something that I was surprised about, mostly because I talk with you a lot, but it doesn't change the fact that there's a lot of fixing in Texas, and honestly, it's going to probably take the better part of 2 or 3 years to fix that.
Yeah. We'll see. But I can tell you, man, I didn't expect a big old season. I was listening to all the projections. And you remember I said last week, Patrick, I couldn't believe we were even ranked.
That's true. You did say that.
How are we ranked? So we're not ranked anymore. But but before we move on, Patrick, to the quarterback situations in Florida State and Georgia, I would be cheating everybody if I didn't bring up Texas A&M.
Oh yeah, dude. Honestly, this is probably a waste of our webcast time, but we'll go into it anyway.
No, it's not. It's not, Patrick, because you don't blow a 44-10 lead and skate by. No, that's got to get pointed out.
Yeah, it needs to be pointed out, but dude, I don't know what to say about Texas A&M, dog. I don't know what to say.
I mean, look, we know A&M is good to have some throwing up on ourselves moments. But
not drunken alcohol throwing up. I mean,
but that was projectile vomit. Like, they got violently ill. You know, you have your blah, and then the projectile blah, and that ill. That's what Texas A&M did. That was all 44-10. They ran for 382 yards, if I'm looking at that right, if I remember the stats I saw. 382 yards they ran the ball. And you know what else was bad? They lost their starting quarterback, and they said they're going to throw the ball more with the backup QB, and they were running the ball. What are we doing? Man, Kevin Summerlin, that seat now, super hot. Super hot. It was already hot coming in.
Yeah, his nuts are roasting right now.
So I just don't know. I mean, and now I have to hear, Chosen Rosen, Josh Rosen, the legend of Josh Rosen. That dude is garbage to me. A couple of those touchdown passes was pure luck. One went through an A&M defender's hands, and the other one, man, he threw out. He did an Eli Manning throw. Oh shoot, yeah, throw it off my back foot.
Oh wait, that's Brett Favre. Brett Favre does this. Oh, we got picked.
Yeah, 50-50, man. So
50-50, man.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, a touchdown?
Yeah.
He don't just get higher. That's all he does. It's an interception. He goes, touchdown. That's Brett Favre for you.
Oh my goodness. Well, Patrick,
I've never seen anybody get praised for throwing 5 interceptions and 4 touchdowns.
I know.
And the 4th touchdown comes from like the last 2 seconds of the game, and they win. How you win a game when you throw 5 interceptions?
Crazy, man. Well, let's talk about those quarterback situations, and let's start with Florida State, because Florida State lost DeAndre Francois in that game against Alabama for the year with a knee injury. So, Patrick, looks bad for Florida State, and a lot of people think now that they lost Francois, or their chances of winning the ACC and potentially playing in the national or in the college football playoff took a big hit, to the point where a lot of people now are favoring Clemson to win the ACC again. Me personally, looking at the game against Alabama, I feel like Florida State was going head up with them. We talked about the 2 turnovers Alabama forced on special teams to pull away, but it has a good defense to hang in. They have some weapons on offense. Not every defense they're going to see is going to be the caliber of Alabama. So I think they'll be able to score a little bit. Yes, the quarterback's a little bit of an unknown, but DeAndre Francois, to me, I don't look at him as a transcending quarterback. Like, I feel like Florida State could still survive with another quarterback because, I mean, Francois, if anything, he showed a lot of toughness because the offensive line was not blocking and he was just getting blasted. And that was going back from last year. Mm-hmm. But I don't look at him as this guy where, oh, they lost him. Their season is done. No. I think Florida State has enough talent. They have a couple quarterbacks, although they're freshmen. I feel like Jimbo Fisher is a good enough coach to get these guys ready to play. And I still like Florida State's chances. Like, I'm not going to sit here and just flip to Clemson all of a sudden just because. I think Florida State can still survive if they're just going to have to be methodical about it now. Run the football. You got a good defense. Play with that. I feel like with Florida State, if you can get 20, 25 points with that defense, they're going to be all right in most weeks. So how do you feel about it?
I'm honestly, I feel the same way. And we were going to start talking about this before the webcast. And honestly, I think it's more of a morale in the players, personally. I think that if Florida State comes out and does exactly just handle business, like you said, Jimbo Fisher is going to have them ready week after week after week. The biggest thing that I saw for Florida State, just protect the ball. I mean, you can't turn over the ball twice in your own end zone. I mean, literally within your own end zone. One was on the 15-yard line, the other one was on the 19-yard line. You cannot turn the ball over to a caliber team of Alabama and expect to hold them to 3 points both times. Or
special turnovers at that.
What's that?
Special teams at that.
Yeah. So protect the ball. I mean, that game is quickly different. I mean, that game could have easily been 10-7 Alabama or 14-10 Florida State if you protect the ball. Like you said, 2 turnovers, and they happen back-to-back, literally back-to-back. You turn the ball over on your own end zone, you're gonna suffer from that. I mean, ask Florida when they played Michigan. You cannot turn the ball over that deep in your own end zone. And it went from 10-7 to 24-7 before you know it. And now here we are talking about how dominant Alabama is. And they didn't play a dominant game to Florida State, though they are a dominant number one. I hope that came out clear because
no, you're just saying they're number one. I got
you. They are a dominant number one, and they're going to be hard to beat. Their depth is hands down probably one of the deepest in college football right now. And they were able to withstand all of that offensive power that Francois was able to throw out at Florida State. And like you said, a couple of big turnovers, and that quickly changed that game to more of a quote-unquote blowout than it should have been. So I think the players just need to get the focus back from thinking that their whole entire offense is ran through Francois and focus on what your position is. Defense, get the turnovers that you need. Special teams, keep the ball off the ground and in your arms. And offense, hey, that'll work out itself.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel Florida State will be okay, man. I mean, as long as they just run the football, well, use your weapons. Florida State has some weapons. Use those weapons. You have a plan where you can get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quick, but you don't want them to stand back there. They've been getting hit. Francois was getting hit. Change it up a little bit. Get some quick outs. Use the running back out of the backfield. Run some screens. Help the quarterback out. And so find a tight end So
and do what Jimbo does best: play field position.
Yep. And
Man
so
can
I
play some
think
field position, and he can get it flipped, and where you can win these tight games, especially a game like Clemson that can be 10-7 or 14-10 or 21-17. He can quickly flip that and make this a game at the end. Jimbo Fisher, he's going to have him ready. He's a good coach. I don't think that he's going to fail at that. So I don't really have any sweat with Florida State.
Yep. And then with that, Patrick, since we're in agreement about Florida State, let's move on with Georgia. And honestly, with Georgia, I feel the same way that I do with Florida State. Now, this Jacob Eason, Jacob Eason, he's what? He's a sophomore now, right?
Sophomore.
Yeah, and he's got a big time arm, and a lot of people were wondering, oh man, what is that going to do with Georgia? Well, honestly, I feel like Georgia is in a better position than Florida State actually is, because we know with Georgia, their strength is running the football. And so with Nick Chubb and Sony Michel back there running the football, Fromm came in and did pretty well against Appalachian State. And so, I mean, I didn't see a drop-off there. Now, yes, it's Appalachian State, and they'll play at Notre Dame coming up, which we'll discuss in a little bit. Same thing, Patrick. Run the football. You have a big physical offensive line. You have a good defense. Mm-hmm. Play big boy ball. Just play big boy ball. Use those running backs and hammer. Just hammer. Set up the play action passing game, and then you can hit them. You can hit Notre Dame, and if Easton is out longer, whoever else they play down the line, whether it be South Carolina or whoever it is. Set up that play action and then go down the field, because with Chubb and Michelle, the teams they're playing, they're going to come up with 8-man fronts anyway. They know they got to stop the run. Who cares? They got a big offensive line. Show me you can stop them. Run the football, and I think Georgia will be fine, man. I really don't have a worry about that. Now, like I say, Easton he's got a live arm. We know he can launch the football, but again, that's not their identity. If that was their identity, maybe I might be a little bit worried, but it's not. So I think Georgia will be all right. What do you think, Georgia fan?
No, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was looking forward to this season because I really wanted to see what Eason could really do. That's going to be put on hold for a little bit, obviously. But Fromm come in, man. He threw 18. He threw 15 passes, man. Went 10 for 15 with 143 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions, and he almost had a 90 QB rating. Look, we know it's against Appalachian State, but let's be honest about the caliber of what Appalachian State coming in last year, beating what team did they beat last year?
Well, I think they gave Miami
into overtime. They beat Texas A&M 2 years ago. So I mean, this team they can play, and I just think that with Georgia it was a much stronger defense. And yet you stuck to your identity. Nick Chubb got 15 carries and Sony Michel got 16. Both of them had a touchdown. So, I mean, hey, look, Georgia played a really balanced game. And as far as the quarterback situation in Georgia, look, Fromm knows 50% of the playbook. With that being said, he probably knows 25% of the passing plays and 25% of the run plays. Coming into Notre Dame, he'll know 75% of that playbook, 50% of the running plays, which he'll know all of the running plays, and 25% of the passing plays. I don't have a problem with that. So, and then you got Henry also, that was or Heron, who was also back there, who is quite the good running back himself. So stable running backs. I see Chubb probably getting about 22 carries this next game. I see Sony Michel getting the same, and it wouldn't surprise me if what's his name? Let me look it up real quick. Swift and Heron probably get about 10 10 to 15 carries. I don't see them putting the game on Fromm's shoulders. But if they do, I honestly wouldn't be too worried about it. I'd start getting nervous if that's what they relied on. But I think Georgia's even better in a situation than Florida State is. Fromm is a five-star blue chip quarterback himself, so I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, man. I mean, if they come in there and they're throwing the ball more than they're running the ball, then yeah, now that's an issue because now you're going away from your strength. You want to continue to play to your strengths. And with Georgia, it's the big physical offensive line. Pound the football, pound the rock. Got those running backs, and they should be all right. And I guess with that, Patrick, let's talk about next week's game. And since we were talking about Georgia and Notre Dame, let's go ahead and get your pick for that game. How do you see this playing out up there in South Bend?
Oh, okay. Obviously, you know who I got winning.
Of course. Me too.
But I think with Eason being out, I think this is a little bit more of a close game. I think it's going to be very low scoring because I think Georgia will try to do a lot of ball control, running the ball. Like I told you, man, I see 70% of these plays being ran through Nick Chubb, Michelle, Heron, Swift, maybe even doing a little bit of a quarterback draw out to the side a little bit.
Do you see a Maryland situation like how they put it on us last week? With the rushing yardage?
Not in the first half. In the second half. I mean, I mean, if I was to put a number, I think Georgia's probably going to rush for 350, 400 yards, man. I mean, I don't doubt it at all. Final score, I got 24-17 Georgia.
Patrick, if they run for 300, they run for 350, 400 yards, they're going to score more than 24.
I honestly, I think Fromm's going to probably throw 2 or 3 interceptions. That's what I'm nervous about. They're going to run the ball. Fromm mess up, throw an interception. Because he still has to go through that game. He still has to go through that game that's going to grow him up. He got thrown in against Appalachian State, man, and you saw him. I mean, he got really comfortable, really cocky, really fast. And I think Notre Dame will pull that back, and he'll throw a couple interceptions. It'll probably be Sonny Michel and Nick Chubb running at 96 yards, and he'll do something stupid and mess it up. But, I mean, hey, it's my Georgia team. What do I know?
Yeah, I got you. Well, look, Patrick, I'm just saying, if Georgia's running the ball for 350, 400 yards, that it might be 37-17.
Hey, you make that score, and I'll feel right at home with it when you're right. I'm nervous about it because he doesn't have that. He doesn't have what Eason has, and that's that experience.
I hear you, man. Well, I'm going to go 34-20. This will be a pretty solid win there. I don't see nothing in Notre Dame where I'm like just kind of shocked. Now, they're going to play hyped up. They're at home. That is a tough environment to play at. So I don't want to act like going to Notre Dame is a cakewalk because it's not. But if Georgia just goes in there be methodical, be themselves, be physical, I don't think Notre Dame has the horses on the defensive line to keep up with that. And you can hit them with the play action pass, winning pretty handily. Or actually, no, not 34-20, 31-20. We'll go 31-20 on that.
Okay.
So
I'll be happy with 21-20, honestly.
It's a win. Well, Patrick, let's get to this game. This one's a little bit interesting. Let's go ahead and bring up the TCU Arkansas game. So
taking that away from me, dog.
No, man. Hey, I'm sorry, man. I know you wanted to bring it up, man, and you told me that, man. I'm sorry, man. So you get first dibs on the pick. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, I think that. TCU Arkansas played last year, double overtime. Arkansas ended up pulling it out 41-38. I'm gonna say expect the same. Expect the same. These two offenses are high-powered offenses, and they both can't stop crap. I'm going to actually go a little higher with the score and say I'm going to add 10 to both of them. I'm going to go 51-48 Arkansas.
51-48 Arkansas. It's a good pick. Good pick. Man, I want to pick TCU in this. I really do. Because I think they're going to be – they remember what happened last year because they came back. They came from behind and were able to get it into overtime. And I think they had the lead in the – was it the first or second? The second overtime. But they kicked the field goal. And then Arkansas scored the touchdown to win it down here in Fort Worth. So now this game is in Fayetteville on SEC turf. You know – all right, I'm going to do it, Patrick. I'm going to pick Arkansas. Now, you know how I feel about Arkansas because
you feel the same way.
Yeah, you know how I feel about Arkansas. Part of me says they are going to just let me down again, but I'm going to take that risk. And I'm going to say they beat TCU. Yeah, I got a pretty high scoring too, man. I mean, I'll go 44-41, something like that. Yeah, I'll go 44-41. I do think it'll be close. There's going to be a lot of points scored. I think Arkansas, I think what gives them the edge is they seem a little bit more balanced than TCU does. The TCU is going to air it out. That's what they want to do. Arkansas can air it out a little bit better than I guess they have been in previous years. And they still run the ball pretty well there. So I go ahead and I give Arkansas the edge there. So, yeah, I'm going 44-41.
Good pick. Good pick.
So, all right, well, let's see. 3 more games to look at. Let's look at let's go to your boys, man. Well, your other homeboys, USC.
No.
Just playing Patrick. Hey, dude, you don't have
that. They ain't playing nobody. Don't even play like that.
Hey, huh? playing Stanford. How you see that working out?
Oh, they are playing Stanford, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going Stanford. That's an easy pick. Thanks. So they're playing in USC this time, right?
Yeah, they are.
Look, man. I mean, USC doesn't look any different than what they have in the past 15 years. Stanford, pretty much the same thing, man. They haven't looked different. I can't do it, man. I'm trying. I really am. I'm trying. I'm trying to go US. I can't do it. I'm gonna go Stanford, man. I can't pick that team. I can't.
Sound like me in Oklahoma.
I can't pick them, man. It's hard because I'm gonna go Stanford, man. 17. Now let me think. I'm gonna go Stanford 28-24.
2024. That's a good score. And I actually probably, I don't want to do this, but I have it going the other way. I do think USC will be able to pull it out. Stanford, the only reason why I'm saying that, Patrick, is because Stanford isn't quite Stanford like they have been. You remember how Stanford was, man. They ran that power eye coming at you and then setting up play action pass. They played really, really sound ball. Well, I don't know if they have the playmakers had in the past when they had dudes like Ty Montgomery and some of those tight ends they had, like Kobe Fleener. Forget the other tight end they had that was there. But and then of course Andrew Luck, and then Kevin Hogan after Andrew Luck was there. But I don't know. That's the only thing with Stanford, man. I don't know if they have the necessary firepower to go down to Los Angeles and pull this out. If I'm wrong, I will be very happy that I'm wrong. But
I'm very happy you're wrong.
But I'm gonna go USC probably around that same score that you had. What'd you say, 28-24?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll go. I think it'll be 30-27, something like that. USC pulling it out somehow. But USC didn't look that impressive last week against Western Michigan. I mean, Western Michigan was sitting there hanging with them, and then USC, their athlete finally kind of took over. But
it took them a while, though.
It did. It took them a long while. I mean, Western Michigan was hanging in, but I think that's kind of what I see there. Just think USC has a few more athletes than Stanford does. And I mean, I think Stanford, because they are coached by David Shaw, they will hang in there. They'll be ready to play, and they're gonna be Stanford. I just don't know if they have enough playmakers to go down there and win it. That it's one of those games to me. If it was in Stanford, I probably would pick Stanford. But
I feel more comfortable with Stanford. I mean, everything in my body said, everything in my logical mind says pick USC.
You just can't do it.
I just can't do it, man. I cannot do it. Can't stand that team. I want them to lose every single week.
Me too. Oh man.
I don't know what it is, man. I just can't stand them.
Well, probably the hype machine. They're always hyped up, man, all the time.
Well, I mean, it's a good score. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see USC win that game. I just don't want them. I don't want them to.
Well, me either, man. But two more games, Patrick, to look at. Let's start with this one. This one's interesting, man. Auburn and Clemson. So this is a rematch. They played last year down in Jordan-Hare, and Clemson was able to pull that out 19-13. Yeah, 19-13. So now the return matchup is in Clemson. Auburn looks like they could be a little bit better offensively. Clemson doesn't look like they missed a beat offensively. I know it was Kent State, but Kelly Bryant looked pretty good throwing the ball there. You will get a much tougher test with that Auburn D, though. That Auburn D is serious. So, How do you see this game going? This one I think is going to be close, man. But what score do you have for this one and who?
Okay. Well, I agree with you. It's going to be a close game. I was really impressed with Clemson and how much Bryant looked like Watson. And I said that as I called you on that one. I was like, dude, that's amazing how well he looked. And granted, we know it's Kent State, but still, the look is there. I mean, you can tell they didn't miss a beat until they run into Auburn. And I do have Auburn winning this, but I do have it close. I have Auburn winning 31-28, maybe 31-24. I'll say 31-24. And the reason why I have Auburn winning it is sheer experience. I don't think that Bryant has what it takes to read a defense that Auburn is going to bring in. So, pretty cut and dry with me on this one. Pretty cut and dry. I think Auburn has a few more athletes that have the experience. Now, I'm not going to say Clemson doesn't have athletes. I think they have the same amount, but Auburn is a much more experienced defense, and they have a much more experienced offense. So I'm gonna go with Auburn.
Now, do you think Auburn's offense has improved that much?
I think that it is based mostly on Clemson's offense has went with the loss of Deshaun Watson. I mean, you have to take in consideration that is going to be a quarterback issue until proven otherwise. I don't think that Auburn's offense has improved as much as Clemson's offense has not improved, or less has taken it's went back. I don't think that the defense can win this alone. I think your offense is going to have to do it, and I think Bryant will. He's gonna have his freshman hiccups.
I hear you. Excuse me. Because that's my question mark about Auburn. Is their offense, has it improved enough to go into Death Valley and beat Clemson? They got the quarterback from Baylor, Jared Stidman. I think things are on the way to where Auburn can have a pretty good offense to go with that defense. And you remember what I said about both Auburn and Florida. They could get some offense to go with their defenses. They could mess some things up in the SEC. But I don't think that offense is there quite yet. So I think Clemson will be able to score a little bit. This is really, really good. But I think Clemson can create some big plays down the field, because Auburn can play a little bit aggressive sometimes, and maybe they can get a couple man-to-man matchups with their receivers and take advantage of those. Kind of middle of the road there. I don't think it'll be low scoring, but I don't think it'll be the highest scoring either. So I'm gonna go like 24-19. I think it'll be because I think
24-19 who?
Clemson.
Okay.
24-19 Clemson, because I think I think Clemson can score enough, and I don't know if Auburn can score enough. I think their defense will keep them in it. I don't know if Auburn can make enough plays to get them over the hump on the road. And so I think that it really, that home field, man, it's so tough to win in Death Valley. So, so I have Clemson in that. But if Auburn did win this game, wouldn't be surprised. Just like I wouldn't be surprised if Stanford beat USC, I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn came in there and won, man. I mean, when you can play defense like Auburn can, you always got a shot.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting.
And against a new quarterback, that's, to me, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's always going to be hard to win in Death Valley, but that quarterback, there's too many question marks with it. So I think Auburn could definitely come back or come over to Clemson and get that game.
All right. Well, last game on the docket, Patrick. Oklahoma and Ohio State. Now, I'm just going to get out of the way. I got Ohio State winning this game. I think they're going to win because they went down to Norman last year and beat them 45-24. So I'm going to say the same score, Ohio State in Columbus. No, I'm just playing. I don't think I don't think it'll be 45-24, but I do think Ohio State will win solidly. I mean, I feel the same way about Baker Mayfield as I always do. You put some pressure on this man, he's going to struggle. It's just that simple. Any good defense he has ran up against, he struggled against them. And Ohio State has the people to get in his face, to rattle his cage a little bit and force some interceptions, and especially up there in Columbus, another tough environment to play at. So I give Ohio State the edge. I think they will win this game. I'm going to say let's go with 38. We go 38-20. Yeah, I mean, that sounds about good. It's a good, solid victory.
What was the score again?
Huh?
What was the score again?
38-20.
38-20.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, you're not going to hear me say this often. Not often at all. I'm going Ohio State 38-10. You think you have a bad feeling about Baker Mayfield? That dude sucks.
Yeah, I don't thank you. I don't think he's that good.
I don't think he's on that dog. He's gonna Brett Favre it. He's gonna Brett Favre it. 38-10, and it wouldn't surprise me 38-3.
Everybody was talking about his stats last week. Oh man, he only had one incompletion. They're playing UTEP. You know what I'm saying?
Playing UTEP, they might as well give him the Heisman Trophy. No, dude sucks.
You might as well run 7-on-7 drills. You UTEP. I never thought Baker Mayfield was good. I just never felt that way. And if anybody wants to sit here and say, "Oh, well, you're a Texas fan, just hate on Oklahoma," whatever, you can say that if you want to. But just know I've been consistent saying this dude is not that good, and I still don't believe he's that good. He's overhyped. And again, anytime there's a good defense against him, he struggles. He gets sacked. He throws interceptions. That's what I see happening in this game. Ohio State's going to bring some pressure. They're going to have some blitzing coming at him, especially up there in Columbus. Yeah, I see it getting ugly for Mayfield.
I see it getting ugly quick. Quick. The 3 points, the 10 points that I'm giving them, they come in the first quarter. They don't score. After they get 10, they don't score again. Ohio State sets in, and Baker Mayfield will throw 4 interceptions.
How many pick sixes in those 4?
3.
3.
Defense is going to win this for Ohio State. I don't think Barrett even needs to even practice. Don't take any snaps because he ain't going to need them.
That's funny.
Baker Mayfield sucks. 38-10.
Yeah, I don't think Mayfield's nearly as good as everyone hypes him out to be. So to review, Patrick, before we wrap up, you have, out of the games we talked about, you have Ohio State, Auburn, Arkansas, Georgia, and Stanford.
Yep.
All right. And I got Ohio State, Clemson, USC, Arkansas, Arkansas, and Georgia. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube. Check this webcast out along with the other ones I got on the channel on YouTube, of course, and then check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, and Twitter. Let us know what you think about these games. Feedback is strongly encouraged. We want to know how you feel about these games as well. So anything to add on that, Patrick?
I ain't got anything, man. Just one thing. Go Dogs.
I can look. I'll throw up a hook 'em horns too. I don't know why. Because they're my team. I mean, I'm gonna represent. I don't think we're gonna do much. I'm still gonna represent. Like I ain't come out here with the Longhorns jersey.
Hey, all I gotta say is, man, is this right here. Come Red River rivalry week. Yeah, I'll wear orange all day long. I ain't wearing that ugly Oklahoma color.
I appreciate the backup, Patrick, because I might need all the support I could handle because I'd be crying anyway. So
now, if Herman wins one game and he wins against Oklahoma, you realize that is a successful season.
Very much so. Oh, no doubt. No doubt, no doubt. We go 1-11. I'm happy. I'm ecstatic.
Everybody in Texas will go like this. Herman is the man. Band-Aids? I don't even see a problem right now.
We have no trophies in the trophy case, but man, we got that golden hat from the Red River Robbery.
We're good.
Well, all right, man. Well, we're gonna go ahead and head on out, Patrick. So we'll be back with more webcasts, and everybody take it easy. Enjoy the college football games coming up later on this week. Take care.